So I don't know if I've been more excited for a real estate video ever. So we started this trip off as a 5-day trip. 20 days later, we're still down here in Belize, and it has me feeling like early days of Bali. And the big thing about that was I didn't buy early in the real estate there. And so when I'm being here, I'm like, yo, I am not gonna miss the boat. Sounds like a sales pitch, but really, like, this is what I'm feeling in my soul. And I said, let me go connect with the top agent in the country. Not even just agent, the owner of Regional Remax. They've got 13 offices, 90 of the best agents in the country. And I said, yo, you might know a thing or two about the market here, like, and the opportunities are here, but like, why Belize? I didn't even really know anything about this place. I didn't know where it was geographically located. What is it about Belize that makes it so special for real estate?
Number one, everyone needs a Jabril in their life as a hype man, so thank you, Jabril. Belize has so many things, and we've gone over them this week, but really the high level stuff is it's English speaking. So it's right beside the US, direct flights from just about every major city in the US. The natural beauty of Belize, you have 181 approximately long mile reef where you have these beautiful sea turtles and fish and manatees and all this amazing stuff. You have full foreign ownership in the market. I know I saw the Bali video where it's leasehold type of real estate out here. You can have your name, you can have your company's name on the title, low property taxes, low taxes in general, and very pro foreign investment and pro business. So that's kind of the stuff that I want to tell you about and explain why Belize is the number one opportunity in real estate right now.
Nice, let's get it. And I can tell you why. It's a lot of fun down here. Well, let me not tell you too much. So a lot of people like me, before I came here a few weeks back, I really didn't know anything about Belize. I mean, it was so crazy that one of the first nights that we went out, we went and got security who were like, oh man, we've heard these crazy stories. And I was like, and then now people are like, what's wrong with this guy? And now I understand why. But like, these were some of the things that were coming up, and what I've lived, what I've experienced, I'm like, this is what people have to know. So why is Belize so important, and why is it a good time to invest down here in Belize? Like, why are you here?
Yep, it's a great question. So the security thing is funny to me because as a kid, I was here, back and forth between Canada and here. And I remember going out to the club with Ruben as a 14-year-old, going to nightclubs, which, I mean, at that time it was different. There was only like 3,000 people, but two 14-year-old kids, and we didn't have security. So I think you're good. There's nothing to worry about. But I mean, why Belize right now and why are we here? It is all about timing. Like what you said about Bali resonated so much with me in that when you make an acquisition in real estate, you make your money when you buy it. And right now we're in a market that hasn't been exposed to the world. This is some of the first exposure that a lot of people are going to get to Belize. They're wondering where it is, and that's the first reason why. So you look at the location of Belize, we're located just south of Mexico and north and east of Guatemala. And we're literally, if you look at Miami to Belize, it's an hour and a half direct flight. You look at the direct flights to Belize, there's Houston, Atlanta, New York, LA, Fort Lauderdale, Charlotte, Seattle, Toronto, pretty much any major US city flies direct. So it's ease of access. The next thing is, which I'm sure you've experienced, I don't know about you, my Spanish isn't the best. Like I can kind of, get my way through Mexico, order a beer, get a taxi. But when I'm looking at legal documentation, when I'm talking to a doctor about, what's going on with me, I want to be able to communicate with them. And the biggest benefit of Belize, it's English speaking. So anywhere you go, really there's 3 languages that people will speak. English is the primary language. Mm-hmm. There's a good amount of Spanish, but pretty much anyone that speaks Spanish is going to speak English. And then there's Belizean Creole. So overall, it's the language. And then beyond that, when you look at the legal system, right? If you're making an investment, the most important thing, for me at least, and for many investors, the foundation of that is the security of that investment. So Belize is full foreign ownership, fee simple title. You can have your name on the title, you can have your company's name, whatever entity you want to hold it in. But from a security standpoint and being able to actually come in and own real estate, because I watched the Bali video, I watch all your videos, I saw that in Bali, it was like a lease structure where you get 25 or 50-year leases. and you could maybe finagle a title out of the end of it. Out here, like out of the gate, it's whole ownership rights. So that's why Belize, you're at the tipping point of so much amazing growth. You have some of the strongest ownership rights in the region and great people.
No, and talking about people, that was like one of the things that had me staying longer was the diversity down here. You have, like your Caucasian, white people, you have black, like the Mayan cultures from people that live here, but then also the tourists and the people that were coming down. I didn't realize how many black Americans, white Americans, like when I'm even here in Mahogany Bay, I was like, wow, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Atlanta. Oh, I'm from London. Like, I'm from LA.
Yep.
All of these different people from all different races. And then obviously people coming up to me, oh man, I watch Passport Heavy. And you also get to see the diversity in our audience, right? The other day, guy from LA, the reason I saw his daughter and she has a Sierra Canyon, so obviously Bronny and them go there. And they're like, he comes over, he's like, oh man, I didn't want to bother you. I thought I saw you for a few days. And then he was just talking about how much, he loves it down here. And so the people from both sides, from locals and tourists, is like one of the things that I've really enjoyed.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Like the first thing you'll notice when you come to Belize, and like a lot of people will have their guard up like you. They're like, am I safe? It's Central America. I read the US government's website and they said that, it might be dangerous. And people will get out here. And like a prime example, the other day, one of our clients dropped their wallet off their golf cart and somebody picked it up, brought it up to them. So like the people here, they're amazing. You feel like you're part of the community. Like I mentioned to you before, when I was really young, I lived in Costa Rica and I've had the opportunity to travel around Central America. One of the key differences going to like a Mexico or a Costa Rica or some of these places is you feel like there's the locals and then there's the expats or the tourists, and like we're not going to mix. Whereas in Belize, it's like if we're going out fishing, it's everyone. Like you got people from all over the world. We're all going together. It's a weekend thing and it's all love.
No, that is one of the biggest things. And one of the things that has me really excited as well is just the timing of everything. Like I said, I feel like I've seen this movie before. Some of you know, some of you might not know. I literally spend up to $600,000 a month on ads to build my businesses outside of Passport Heavy, like within my financial companies. And when I started running Google ads back in 2004, I was getting what used to be like $1 in 2004, then in 2012 went up to like $14 a click, right? Supply and demand and everything changing. And it was the same thing, and I missed the boat. I started making about like 20 grand a month, and I was like, man, this is good. And I didn't go hard enough.
Yeah.
And then so when Facebook came around and the prices were super low in the beginning, I was like, I've seen this movie before. And so the clicks that I was getting in like 2011 for like 10 cents now are about $2 a click, right? You're talking 20x, right? 10 years later on Facebook. And like I said, with the Bali comparison, I see that same thing happening here. And that's why I'm like, it's not a game. Like I will be a part of this. Like I see the opportunities with beach clubs coming, restaurants, just all the things that are missing, like all the structures there. You have the reef, all of these things, that the perfect recipe. And the other thing is, me as a digital nomad, I love Bali and I'll always go back, but the time zone and everything for working and being is like such a major thing. I'm like, damn, I gotta wake up at 3 a.m., for this call. And so do you want to talk a little about the timing and just, the location?
Definitely. That analogy of Google Ads, any online marketers out there, which I'm sure there's a lot watching, I felt the pain of that. Like thinking about the cost of clicks in these different platforms going up. I've never heard that analogy compared to Belize Real Estate, but you hit the nail on the head. Like, that's really where we are right now in the scheme of time. And you look at some of the things that Jabril touched on there. So the country has the world's largest living reef. So the Great Barrier Reef is bigger in terms of size, but in terms of actual living reef, our reef is the biggest. So it's about 181 miles long. Then you look, we have island and mainland components. So the mainland, you have these beautiful lush jungles where you have these amazing farms, you have the reef, you have these keys. So it really kind of hits every aspect of what you would look for in a country. We're actually a net producer of food. So what we produce is more than what we consume, which very few countries can say. And just looking at the timing of the investment right now, we're very much ground floor. Our population is only 380,000 people. So if you're comparing to a US city, I don't know, something like, what's the population of Chicago?
A few million.
A few million. So we're talking about like 1/10 of a major US city, but we have a whole country. So we have low population density. We have, the government has done some amazing things like dedicating about 46% of the land to national park and marine reserves. So there's a couple big benefits of that. Like when you look at Belize, we talk about all the things that Jabril, the Passport Heavy team, and anyone who's been here before loved. It's the natural environment, it's the ecosystem, it's being able to go out, see a turtle, it's being able to go to the jungle and see monkeys. And the government's protecting that, which is going to protect our tourism industry. But the secondary benefit of that from a real estate perspective is that limits the supply of available and developable real estate. So when you look at tourism numbers have year over year been consistently growing with the exception of the pandemic. And then you factor in, there's a limit on the supply of land. We're talking, back to your reference, limited amount of ads that can be clicked on and more people coming in. That's what's been driving our real estate market. So it's kind of this perfect storm that we've kind of fallen into, but really right now we're at the tipping point of a lot of this growth. Belize is coming onto the map for a lot of people, and that's just where we are in the scheme of time.
Nice. And then, so for people that are looking to invest, so me, I've got a chance to view a lot of the country. Went to Belize City, and people don't go there enough, right? And then I went to down south to Placencia, right? Beautiful, but it's way more chill. And then spent time in Kikaka, as well as right now we're in San Pedro. And so do you want to talk about the different areas and what it means as far as an investment in the different areas? Because before I came, I was like, I didn't know the difference and what it means as far as tourism. And if I'm looking to invest, maybe where I would invest for more opportunity in the future versus is there a middle ground and what each place means?
It's a great question. First of all, we gotta show Belize City a little love here, guys. And if you are going to Belize City, Chansan Palace, that dim sum, it's unparalleled. So check Chansan out. But when we look at we're numbers guys, right? We want to look at the data and see where is the data backing up the location. So just to kind of touch on what the different areas. So you do have San Ignacio, which is in the jungle, more kind of low key vibes, very beautiful, but the tourism market really isn't quite there yet. You have Placencia, which is one of the bigger markets in Belize, but again, it's super laid back, super chill. The population is really only like a few thousand to 10,000 people, so it's really small. And we're talking about going up that peninsula. And when we're looking from a real estate investment perspective, we're looking, where are the people going? Because when you look at real estate, there's a couple ways you can make money off of it. There's equity appreciation, your property's going up in value, or there's cash flow. So you're getting heads in beds, you're generating rental income, and there's obviously some other ways you can make money, but those are probably the biggest ways that people make money in real estate. So both of those ways are driven by people going to a location. When we look at the data and we take the BTB's data, that's the Belize Tourism Board, they produce a couple reports every year, and they break down, where are people coming from? Where are they going to within Belize? What type of activities are they doing? So we really focus in on where are they going to within Belize. And according to the data from the 2019 report, because the most recent reports are affected by COVID, about 42% of the travelers were going to Ambergris Caye, which is the island we're on. So San Pedro is one town in Ambergris Caye. Ambergris Caye is the #1 tourism destination. And you can even take it one step further, and they have a report of all the available rental units in Ambergris Caye. And when you break it down, you can see they have about 2,600 rental units in the biggest tourism market in Belize, versus when you contrast to a location like Cancun or Tulum, where they have hundreds of thousands of rooms, our inventory growth hasn't been there while the tourism numbers have still hit. And then you factor in island economics, so you're not making any more land. And when you really break that down, if it's a financial investment, you got to be in Ambergris Caye, you got to be looking at San Pedro. If it's a lifestyle thing, then, and you just want to be, more laid back, maybe you like toucans, maybe you want to see more monkeys, then at that point, that's really personal preference. But, I went yesterday for a little vacation to the jungle. We flew right in from the airstrip here, landed over there, had 2 days of just tranquility, enjoying it. So you can still access it because we're such a small country. But from the investment standpoint, it's San Pedro and Ambergris Caye.
Nice. And then even like percentage numbers wise, I heard it was like close to like 40% of like, how does it break down of like tourists going to the different areas?
So just to give you kind of the high level, it's about 42% coming to Ambergris Caye. The next closest would be Caye Caulker with about 22%. So the islands are really where a lot of people go. Placencia would be the third biggest, and then San Ignacio. But overall, it's really like the islands are the top tier, and then you kind of go from there. Usually what people will do, they'll do like a surf and turf. So you hit the beach, you hit the reef, then you go in. A lot of the resorts have a sister resort in the jungle. Then you chill out in the jungle, but the island is where the tourists are going.
Okay. So one major thing that I realized that had me saying, I need to come down here ASAP and build something was I looked on Airbnb, and the kind of fresh I like. Like, say less if you watch Passport Heavy. If you don't, Yuri, let them know what kind of places we stay in, right? And so we like nice bed sheets, nice showers, just super fresh. I looked on Airbnb, and it was wild to me. I was like, I didn't see one option in San Pedro, right? And so I said, and it's not like people are not paying here. You have several resorts here sold out, right? $600-700 a night they're paying for places. And I was like, okay. Or like, even let's talk about the area that we are here. And what do you see if you built like a fresh, or how many bedrooms do you recommend? Like for me, like I picture I'd have like a 4 or 5 bedroom, super fresh villa, kind of like a Bali, Tulum style kind of villa. Because that's what I'd want to stay in. What would you say price would be for the land and the lot, like here in Mahogany Bay, private community, where I think this is where I would build that for like a turnkey option? Like my number one place that I would be looking at if someone was like, yo, Jabril, what would you do based on the time that you spent? So yeah, maybe just talk about some of the numbers for that, and then also maybe what you could rent it out for a night on Airbnb, like a realistic, like maybe undershooting a little bit.
It's a good question. So the real important thing to look at here, and this was one of the biggest breakthroughs we had in this market, because we've heard so many people look at Airbnb and say, I can't find something that's up to the standard that I want, but the prices are so high. So what we did was we went into the data and pulled from different sites that we could find, learning about what's the breakdown of 1 bedroom, studio, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4, 5 plus, and what we found was that approximately 82% of the rental inventory was studio to 2 bedroom. So the mentality of travelers, which no one will know this better than you, has completely shifted. Like it used to be, okay, we'll go, if it's 3 families, each family will get a hotel room, everyone will be happy. Airbnb completely flipped that on its side, and all of a sudden you had access to all of these amazing single family homes that were built in most markets in the world. And that's what travelers were looking for. So right now, in this market, when you look at 5 plus bedroom on Airbnb, there's only like 13 active Airbnb listings. And the really crazy thing about it is like half of these are just hotels that say, we have a 5 bedroom, which is just 5 hotel rooms that they're gonna rent you on Airbnb. So it's not even that number. So when you're looking at the breakdown of the market, you really wanna be 5 plus because there's just less competition. We're in a market where, as you know, there's not a lot of competition, but then you get into that higher space of bedroom count and it thins out even more. So from that perspective, you want to look at that. That's why we deal with a lot of purpose-built rentals. So building and designing your home around what the market needs right now. And that's why a lot of people look at Mahogany Bay. So within Mahogany Bay, you can get your own lot. fee simple title, so strongest ownership rights you can have. Then you can actually choose different plans. There's 3 approved architects. And when you look at the cost to build versus the cost of buying something that's already built, right now buying something already built is about 30 to 50% above the replacement cost of that unit. So what does that mean? That basically means that if you're coming into the market and you're looking at something that is already ready to go, turnkey, that you can just walk in, you're going to pay a premium of 30 to 50%. So what we saw with our team was allowing people to design their home around what the market needs, putting the checks and balances in place. So we've got 3 approved architects in Mahogany Bay, 3 approved builders right now that are the best basically the best in Belize. They built Victoria House, Mata Chica, Kaya Spanto, all of the top resorts that have been here for decades. And then we give them the ability to get the best price. So there's no real estate fees on the build, no developer fees. So really you're getting quoted directly from the contractor with the safety and security, knowing that like these are the guys who deliver, getting the best price and building the rental unit that is needed in the market. So it's become very popular because it's all designed around giving the investor the best situation.
So one of the most important things for me, I'm sure, as a lot of you, is the Airbnb, VRBO market, rental home. Do you want to run through some of the different, because we went to go take a look at a few different properties.
Yep.
And from the lower side of the market, still beautiful, to like some of the top end of like building a beautiful 5-bedroom villa. And what are some of the numbers, and then also occupancy that we're kind of seeing.
So the example that I'd like to use for that would be the house that I'm going to build. Basically based on a lot of the rental comps that we have for it, the build cost all in would be about 1 to 1.2 million. And what we've seen from different properties we've managed in that kind of upper echelon of the market is about 75% occupancy and about 2,000 a night for a luxury high-end home. That's like high-end finishings, a lot of different amenities for people coming down. So not just the bedroom count, but beyond that, what do you have? So in the house that I'm doing, we got a DJ booth over the pool. We've got a 40-foot pool in the back. We've got a hot tub. We got the outdoor kitchen. This is the house where when you're coming down, I know you guys would find that online and be like, yeah, this is the house we should rent.
That's why I'm saying, like, I got to build right next door. Like, I'm not coming to stay in Will's house. I need to make money too. So
we're going to have the whole strip here in Mahogany Bay, passport heavy Remax. We're going to have you, Nate, Yuri, Ruben, Dust. Everyone's going to be in there, and the whole block party is going to be happening. But that's the kind of number you want to hit, because when you hit that level, then you're going to be at a point where you're generating significantly more rental income and competing with essentially nobody. Just to kind of give you the reverse of that, like if you want to get in this market right now and you want to be in a premier gated community like Mahogany Bay, you can secure a lot right now with $165,000, 20% down financing on a 30-year amortization. So when you look at that amortization, it makes the monthly payments really low down, and it's a great way to just establish yourself in the market, because build costs can vary, but land is the one thing that's like the clicks, right? Yeah. If the land price is going to consistently go up, there's no way to make that go down, whereas build technology can get better and can drive that down.
Okay, and then let's look at a more normal option. Like, let's say like a 3-bedroom, 2.5. Yep. Here, like what would those numbers look like?
So we have a finished 3-bed, 2.5 bath, and it's located right down the street here. The build cost on that was about $500 to $600, depending on if you build out of wood or concrete. And the rental income on that right now is $500 to $700 a night. Mm-hmm. And what we're looking at in terms of occupancy, I mean, it's booked solid for the next 3 or 4 months. That house this year, in its first year on Airbnb, which as a marketer, that's the hardest year, it's going to hit about 65% occupancy. So moving down the line from that, those numbers will only go up as you establish reviews, but that as well will perform super well. The really high competitive point of the market is studio to 2-bedroom.
Okay, and then because these homes are custom, are there certain things that you should do to your home to make it like, oh, I just want to build the cheapest kind of thing? Or does it actually make sense to invest in things like swimming pools or different things that are going to increase your...
Yeah. It's a great question. So the swimming pool is one that's like a no-brainer. 72% of people searching for an Airbnb right now are searching for a pool. We're in that 72%. The pool is critical. Like, you know, the heat, walking around, it's amazing, but being able to go back to the house after, it's huge. And then the rental, like 72% of people are looking for a pool. So that's one. If you can get a hot tub in there, that's a huge asset. Sauna, just the basic things that you think, like when you're traveling, oh, look, this house has X. If you can give a little twist to your house that separates it from the next house, I always advise to do it.
And I think I'm a huge hot tub person, and it blows my mind how many people do not have the hot tub for the cost benefit, right? So it's like when you talk about social media, it's marketing too. You want to make your home marketable. What do people want to do after a long day? They're like, oh, I get to hop in a jacuzzi. It's like those memories. They have a glass of champagne. Yep. All of these things are the things that I think of. I'm just like, do people not have common sense? Well, most people know.
Yeah.
You can leave it in there because it's true.
I think you're right, man. I mean, it's like a lot of the things in this market, from everything from like traveling in Belize to your experience that, you know, going to a restaurant, you think that this stuff is common sense right now, but we're just not at a point where the competition is high enough to drive that up. So as more people enter this market, position yourself long-term. Like, I know based on all of our conversations, this is like vision. It's about what's the long-term, and it's about positioning not only for today, like the rental numbers are great, but being set up for when more people come in, having that hot tub, having that pool, that's the long-term mentality, and it's critical.
And then, so talking about long-term, you took me somewhere super beautiful. I was really confused because the sunset is actually on that side.
Yep.
And so it's amazing over here, but I was like, why is it built that way? And so we went to Secret Beach. Do you want to talk a little bit about over there? Because that was another thing. Lots over there, I think 10 years ago, were $5,000. Now they're going 40,000 plus. You're talking 8x in 10 years. That's like I wish I would have went Bitcoin back then. And the other key point that you said when we're over there are these places like Six Senses. If you don't know what Six Senses is, it's one of the premier luxury hotels, brands in the world, like in Bali, unbelievable property. And then the kind of research that these brands do tells me, okay, there's something big coming here, or like in investing, right? If you see this, the leadership buying a huge, stock, and you're like, okay, if they're buying, that means something. And so, do you want to talk a little about Secret Beach and what's coming? Because right now it's a vision, right? It's not really developed. And so I'd love for you to talk about that as well.
Sure. I mean, this is maybe the most important thing of the whole video. So when you look at the history of the island, we kind of have to rewind, take a little history class. The island was developed the exact opposite of what most tourist destinations do, especially if you're an island, which is develop the west side. You have premium real estate that usually sells for significantly more money, and you have the sunset views, right? Mm-hmm. In this island, it was the east side because that's where the reef is. So when the island was first developed, I remember being a little kid walking down the beaches over here, and it was like a fishing village at the time, and the whole mentality was, I gotta get out in the morning to the reef, catch my fish and come back. So there was no kind of master plan for what was going to happen. So the whole east coastline's developed, whereas as we saw on our tour, the west coast is essentially undeveloped at this point. So Secret Beach is where the first east-west road was connected. It's called the Mata Grande Road. So for the first time ever, about 10 years ago, you could drive in. So the lots came to the market then at 5,000. Since then, we haven't seen a tremendous amount of infrastructure that's gone in yet. And that's one of the reasons why so many people are looking at it long-term. A, you have some of the most desirable real estate being on the Sunset coastline or being close to that. B, you don't have utilities brought in yet, so they're not fully serviced. So you have the upside. You look at the price of a fully serviced lot right now on the island, it's about 130,000. When you look at the entry point over there, it's about 40,000. So people that have long-term vision and want to get in on the ground floor, Secret Beach is the #1 up-and-coming destination within Belize. And then you talk about the due diligence team of Six Senses, other major resorts. Hilton's Beach Club is on the West Coast. So we were chatting about it before. Like, you know, Jabril and I could sit here and crunch numbers for a month and we'd probably come up with some great data. But is it as good as a global top hotel brand? Take it one step further. What about 2 global top hotel brands that have chosen this location for themselves? So we like to, you know, success is leaving clues for us right now. And if we can follow those clues and invest in that market ahead of schedule, then you're going to be a beneficiary of that.
So then another thing real quick is when we're in the office, you're like, yo, there's this guy, Daryl. He's a big fan of Passport Heavy. You want to send him a video, but he's also an investor with us. And when you show him, I was like, man, he's like a quintessential like Passport Heavy family member. And he's building, I remember you told me in Atlanta, he's been building these tree houses that he puts on Airbnb. And he's gonna do the same thing in Secret Beach because he's one of those people that have come down and seen them. And that's another thing I'll say. When you come down for a vacation to experience it, you're like, oh, I get it. Yo, wifey, this is what we're doing, right? And so do you just want to talk a little bit about the project that he has going on and what he saw and what he has felt?
For sure. And I mean, first of all, shout out to Daryl. Daryl has an amazing project. So Secret Beach, you know, I mentioned it's a long-term play, but right now it is ready if you want to invest in an up-and-coming area. And the great thing about what Daryl's doing is he has a vision. So their treehouse project in Atlanta that they've been doing, they're these amazing, eclectic, funky tree houses that they do. They rent them. They have awesome private chefs. They get celebrities in Atlanta that go in. So Daryl's big time. Their whole operation is big time. And he's brought that vision here. So the vibe, I would say, of his project, he bought multiple lots. It's kind of like a Tulum aesthetic. They've got a beautiful pool. They have these amazing units. So not only are they entering the market at a point when it's not a tremendous amount of competition, but they've also separated what they're doing. They've made something unique. They have vision. So they're going to benefit short-term and long-term from that. But that's the real beauty of Secret Beach right now. You can bring in your vision and it's like a blank canvas that you can paint your vision on.
Okay, and then to rewind real quick, there's something before, and then I want to wrap up and let people know if they are looking, you know, to move forward, what do they need to do? So when you said properties are going for a 30 to 50% premium, what is the timeline, and like why is people paying 30 to 50%? Like, and then how long? So once you buy your lot, like let's say here in Mahogany Bay, how long does it take for, you know, you break ground and then you're in your house with electricity and everything's done? How long would you typically be looking at?
Got it. Okay, so first question, how long does it take to build? You're looking at about, depending on the size of the project, I'd say an average of about 12 months. So the real reason why is they have to pay a premium if they don't, because there's just basically no inventory in the market for single family homes that are ready to go. So if you do find one, the type of buyer is someone who's like, I don't really care, stroke the check, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. It's not a financial investment. I just want to have my place ready. So it's someone who wants to be in Belize today. They're ready to go. They don't care about anything. They don't want to build around what the rental market needs. And that's the type of buyer there. But most people look to build around what's needed right now. And that's why so many people have taken the route of securing their land, making a vision, and then executing on it, and having the infrastructure we have over 10 years plus of being here, basically take all those connections and deliver that in a great time frame.
No, and that was one thing is just your team, right? So I was in Dirty Martini, probably a little too late the other day, and I ran into this one guy. He's like, I bought the lot for me and my mom, and so he's built 2 properties. Sorry, I forgot his name.
Ray, shout out to Ray.
You know, shout out to Ray. And then he was just sharing that, like, one of the biggest things one of the biggest mistakes that you could do is going with the wrong person, because it's not structured like the US in a way of, it's still building. And so like, he's like coming with you guys, help me get my bank account, knowing this, and that was a huge deal for him. And the thing I love most about your story and the whole team is that you've had a vision down here, started building, but you brought your boys down here with you and they saw how big the opportunity was, right? You don't become number one, number two in the entire country, and then literally top five, you know, in the world globally by not really accomplishing something special.
Yep.
What is it that you like? I know you talked a little bit about it in the beginning, but your friends, right, have come down here, and then other people within the community are latching on. What are you telling them? They're like, yo, I'm gonna leave Canada to move down to Belize, change my whole life because I see this vision of what's happening down here.
So really it goes back to when I first started down here. I started with Remax, I guess formally like several years ago. Mm-hmm. And the market at that point was great. It was not where it is today, but like right out of the gate, you could make some money, right? So then I started thinking, okay, how can we make this bigger? And each one of these guys has an amazing skill set they bring to the table. So over the years of just, you know, literally bugging them every week, like, you got to get out to Belize, you got to get out to Belize. So then one by one, they all came, and it's grown the network so much. And then you have our core team with Remax, like our media team, Divya and Ashton, people who see our stuff, that's all thanks to Divya and Ashton every day. You have Lalo's the number one guy, client concierge. If you show up on the island, Lalo is going to be there. He's going to make sure your trip is amazing. And that's the only way we do it. You have Dixie and Gary. They do a lot of our different, you know, graphic design, any little details that you guys experience when you're down with us, they're part of it. Maria makes sure that everyone's in line. Maria's the boss, and we need that. So we've got an amazing team out here that extends all the way around the country. But yeah, it's all thanks to them, and that's the biggest asset we bring. Like if we have a client come in to deal with us, it's not like we make a sale and then walk away. It's like we help people get bank accounts. We help people plan their trip. We help people get builders, architects, everything that's involved in a real estate transaction. And that's part of, you know, what we talk about, the different team members. That's what we bring to the table, is all the network in the team.
Okay, amazing. So we've been talking about some luxury homes here, and I know like plots in like Hawaii and some of these places, you've missed a boat there already.
Yeah.
They're filled.
Yeah, I mean, in this market, and a lot of people think that because 95% of our buyers and clients come from the US or Canada, especially places like New York, LA, Toronto, where they really can't access the real estate market right now. So to keep it really simple, the entry point in Belize, and this is why so many people love it, it's $40,000 for an entry lot in the Secret Beach area. There's 20% down financing. We talked about this when we were walking around, but property taxes are $75 a year. So from carrying cost perspective, from entering the market, we're still on the ground floor with so much potential to go up. And the opportunity is really within anyone's fingertips if they want to look forward and, you know, dive in and learn more about it.
That's crazy. $8,000 down for
It's insane to think about.
Yeah. So if I pick up, you know, a lot for 40 grand, how does the whole process look like? How does that run?
So the build process, because of the way the market is really what we've refined and dialed in. So when you're looking at building in a foreign market, it might be this daunting thing, but we've really broken it down to put checks and balances in place for owners and builders and make sure you're still getting the best rates. So the way we do it, we have third-party project management who we worked with on hundreds of builds. They'll oversee every screw, every nail that's going into the house. They'll make sure the builders aren't cutting corners. Then we work with a few approved builders that they basically are the best in Belize. They've delivered the biggest resorts, the fanciest villas, all the places that we like to stay at. So everybody involved in our team has a track record, and there's enough checks and balances in place to make sure that everything is delivered in a timely manner.
No. Learned so much, but you have as well. I think we've gone like, we've gone a while today, right? But you have videos that you drop literally 3 times a week that goes into like the nitty gritty. Because even this was a fairly big, meaty video. But where do people find your YouTube channel?
So if you guys search Will Mitchell Belize on YouTube, that'll pop up right there. We try to do 3 videos. Basically, it's anything ranging from high-level content down to where are the best grocery stores, who are the best lawyers to deal with. So we want to hit every detail. So if they want the nitty-gritty, that's the best place to get it.
Okay, and we'll have all of those links in the description. And anything you want to close with?
I would say if you guys are interested in Belize, it will be our pleasure to help you learn about the market. Our experience dealing with Jabril and the Passport Heavy team has been nothing but amazing. And I can only assume that a lot of the Passport Heavy followers and viewers are just like that. So anything we can do to help you guys learning about Belize, we want to be your resource and we're happy to do it.
Awesome. Thank you.